thoughts lifts her chin up, proudly telling him she's the reason why he's become stronger. Anyways, Ryu and Ruri finally has the money needed for his clothes. Now they just need to go and meet the king. Hopefully nothing goes awry. Meanwhile, at the castle, a guard hurries to report to Lord Dwar about a man who wants the king to examine some monster materials. Not just any materials, but super valuable materials like the hide of an A-rank monster. The guard calls it suspicious, asking the king as to what he wants them to do with the man. The king then orders the guard to bring Ryu in the castle tomorrow, thinking Ryu might have good use to them. No matter what, they must bring Ryu to the king. Smells trouble, don't you think? After a long day, Ryu and Ruri found themselves a nice inn to stay at. The owner is even kind enough to wash Ryu's clothes. She also patched up the torn parts of his clothes, especially the part around the sleeve. Ryu was grateful for the owner's kind gesture, especially for letting him borrow some pajamas. When Ryu first came to the inn, the owner really thought he was either a vagrant or a robber judging by his clothes. She wonders how one could be doing to have his clothes in such a state. Dryly laughing, Ryu doesn't answer her. What is he supposed to say? That he's been training with Fenrir? Ruri confirms their destination for today, which is the castle. Ryu did promise the guard post yesterday when the king's messenger arrived at very inconvenient moment. The messenger, aside from relaying the king's message, also introduced the inn to Ryu. But the adventurers at the guild took it as a direct summon from the king, saying Ryu must be a total celebrity and all. They soon arrive at the castle, with guards lined up all the way to the doors leading towards the throne room. Ryu takes note of such an extravagant welcoming for an ordinary guy like him. More like a way to trap someone, Ryu. Before opening the doors, the guard warns Ryu not to do anything disrespectful towards the king. Inside, another batch of guards are lined up on both sides of the room, with the king sitting at the center end. Ryu can already feel the intense energy radiating just from the king's gaze. He knows this dwarf is no ordinary being. Judging by the king's aura, Ryu can tell the king's not quite the same level of the Fenrir elder and leader, but this king is definitely up there in the ranks of high-tier monsters. Kneeling down, Ryu gives respect and honor to the king before introducing himself as a beast tamer. The king then goes straight to agenda, relaying how he's heard from his soldiers about Ryu and his desire to have his clothes made by the king. Ryu takes out the hide from his storage, politely confirming his plans. But the king rudely asks him if Ryu stole the hide he just presented, leaving Ryu stunned by such accusation. Ryu still remains respectful despite the king's rude behavior. He is the king, but that's not an excuse to be an a-hole. A calm Ryu explains how the hide he has with him is from a monster he hunted himself. Even from a distance, the king can spot the materials Ryu has with him. He doubts that Ryu hunted a monster in the Great Forest. Him? A mere beast tamer actually hunted a top-tier monster? Downright absurd. The forest is even known to be the home to the cursed Fenrir, the king utters. Now this gets Ryu's ears tingling. Did the king just refer to the Fenrir as cursed? This dwarf who's supposed to be the elder's acquaintance? Something's not adding up, so Ryu decides not to mention the elder at all. Apologizing, Ryu further explains that he wasn't alone when he hunted the beast. A friend helped him as well. When the king asks what kind of friends Ryu has, the beast tamer lies about not knowing their names since they were just hunters. The king grows even more suspicious. This irks not only Ryu but also Ruri. This so-called king has been rude from the start. Ruri is about to lose her temper. Ryu asks that they remain calm. Again, something feels off. This king is supposed to know the elder, yet he has a bad impression of Fenrir. The number of guards surrounding the throne room and outside the room is suspicious too. It's only Ryu, a mere human, and Ruri, his familiar. And let's not mention the disrespect from the very beginning. The king already has an impression of Ryu even when they've just met. Now, Ryu is unsure if it's okay to ask the king for his help. The king then makes an exchange with Ryu. He'll craft Ryu's clothes, but in return, Ryu will leave all the monster hides as payment. The king also asks for a payment for Ryu's crime of theft. Standing up, Ryu has had enough of this dwarf's belittlement. No pun intended. Ryu then directly tells the king he won't hand over the hides. This starts to anger the king, especially when Ryu points out how he has no intention of striking a deal with someone like him even if he's the king. The guards are now furious with how Ryu just talks smack to their king. Even the king himself has his veins popping out of anger. He doesn't doubt the elder, but Ryu can't take this rude dwarf seriously. He shall listen to his gut for now. Before they know it, the king orders his guards to arrest Ryu. The guards rally up on Ryu, trapping him with their sharp weapons. Ruri immediately asks Ryu to let her handle the situation, but Ryu asks her to stand down. Stirring up trouble with an entire kingdom is not on their bucket list. When the king asks Ryu why he's not resisting, the beast tamer only replies he knows he can't win against an entire kingdom. After calling Ryu's decision a wise one, the king then commands the guards to throw Ryu and Ruri in the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, Ryu is disheartened with how sourly things became. They confiscated all the hides for Pete's sake. Even Ruri isn't impressed, still thinking it was a better idea if they fought back. Ryu never really expected the outcome to be like this. He thought they would just get kicked out, and he really didn't want to fight someone who's supposedly the elder's friend. The good thing is, Ryu still has the fang with him. The guards thought it was just some trinket and didn't bother taking it. Ryu gets the scare of his life when someone uttered "hey" from behind. Turning around, Ryu sees it's a dwarf who's asking Ryu what's he doing inside the dungeon. Ryu then explains how he refused to sell the monster hides to the king. The dwarf sighs, seemingly disappointed that Ryu got arrested for such a petty thing. When Ryu asks of his crime, the dwarf looks at Ryu deadpan before telling him of treason. The dwarf then details out how he only told the king they needed to stop hunting monsters in the Great Forest just to get rare materials because the dwarves can't really win against Fenrir. Now it makes sense why the king called the Fenrir cursed, and why he was desperate for Ryu's hides. With Ryu's and dwarf's crime, Ryu now thinks the king has a really bad temper. Ryu really thought he'd be some great dwarf since he's friends with the elder. Ryu's train of thought is interrupted when the dwarf tells Ryu that the current king is actually a fake. The man Ryu just met is Lord Dwar's identical twin brother, Lord Dal. Another plot twist that sends Ryu into a state of shock. Anyways, Lord Dolph apparently imprisoned Lord Dwar, brainwashed his advisors and soldiers, and locked them up. Since Lord Dolph has always been in the shadows, no one really noticed the swap. The imprisoned dwarf grew suspicious after learning about the invasion plan for the Great Forest, and here he is, imprisoned for treason. The real Lord Dwar is in a high-security cell deep within the castle. Unlike the shabby dungeons they're at, the security in that holding cell is tight, complete with iron doors and an iron chamber. On top of that, there's a curse that suppresses any power, so escaping is nearly impossible. Ryu goes into thinking mode again. This means the Elder's acquaintance might be the older brother, the real king. In that case, Ryu must help the real king escape. With this final decision, Ryu gets the fang out and asks the dwarf to stand back a bit. The dwarf understands what Ryu is trying to do and warns him it's impossible to break Lord Dwar out. Even the real king himself can't break the holding cell. What of Ryu? But Ryu is confident that he can and will do it. Both Ryu and Ruri head towards the dungeon's railings, easily breaking it with their combined strength. It's not impossible if it's Ryu and Ruri we're talking about. Amazed, but somehow a bit petrified, the dwarf asks Ryu of their identity, to which Ryu gladly tells him they're beast tamers with their familiars. Ryu extends his hand, helping the dwarf stand up. Together, they venture out to save the real king. Hiding behind a wall, the dwarf tells Ryu that Lord Dwar is imprisoned at the end of the hall where 2 guards stand by. The dwarf is still a bit doubtful if they can really save Lord Dwar, but Ryu reassures him they can. They have business with the real king, they'll definitely save him. Ryu then asks the dwarf if he can somehow fight, to which the dwarf shares he's actually a warrior but without a weapon. That's sort of impossible. No worries. Ryu and Ruri will take the lead while the dwarf can stay back and keep an eye on things. Before you know it, Ryu and Ruri are already running towards the guards. The guards are now on their feet, commanding Ryu and Ruri to stop or they'll get killed. Ryu doesn't want a bloodbath and tells Ruri exactly that. Their goal is to knock them out. Right now, Ruri's role is to keep them distracted while Ryu attacks them. A guard aims his weapon at Ryu, which he swiftly dodges. Their combat style is totally different from other monsters. Dwarves move slower even in comparison to Fenrir. The dwarves' presences and actions are so much easier to read than other monsters too. Ryu easily blows an attack on the guard's nape, knocking him out in the process. The other guard is swinging his sword at Ruri, expecting to defeat a mere wolf with one swing. However, the guard's sword gets spliced in half. Ryu quickly sees an opening and kicks the guard straight in the face. Now that that's over, Ryu calls the dwarf out. The dwarf is actually surprised to see the 2 guards completely defeated. Their country soldiers shouldn't be weak at all. But they're no match for Ryu, who's been training hard to get strong. Now their problem is this door. Ryu gives it a solid knock. Yep, that's a solid iron door. It's cursed too. It's impossible to get out from the inside. But what if the curse doesn't affect the outside of the door? Giving it one slash, Ryu is able to easily break the cursed door, revealing Lord Dwar, who's just been sitting in isolation. The real king immediately opens his eyes, asking who Ryu is. The beast tamer immediately introduces himself as well as being a beast tamer. Lord Dwar is indeed surprised that a tamer made it all the way inside his cell. Ryu then shares how he was treated badly by the fake king. Hearing this, the real Nig immediately apologizes in behalf of his foolish brother. Ryu gets down to business and asks Lord Dwar if he could craft some clothes for Ryu. When the king asks why it needs to be specifically made by him, Ryu tells him about being referred by the elder. This somehow angers Lord Dwar a bit. He doesn't believe Ryu's words since he knows the elder shouldn't have any human acquaintances. But Ryu assures him, even taking out the fang and showing it to Lord Dwar. Aside from that, there's Ruri, who magically turns herself into a human again. Lord Dwar now believes Ryu, especially witnessing the Fenrir's human transformation magic. Ryu then explains that Ruri is actually the elder's granddaughter, making her solid proof to Ryu's statement earlier. Even examining the fang, Lord Dwar knows it's the real stuff. He then apologizes for doubting Ryu before he grants the beast tamer's request. Then they went to the other holding cells where other dwarves are imprisoned. Ryu immediately gets busy, breaking the cells so the dwarves can escape with Lord Dwar. After everyone is freed, there's only one task left for Ryu and everyone else: to defeat the fake king and take back the crown. However, Lord Dwar asks for Ryu to stand back. This deflates Ryu's excitement from just seconds ago. Looking at his men, Lord Dwar explains how he was ambushed before and ended up losing. Today they'll surely win if they go head on. So at this point, Ryu and Ruri have done their parts. Lord Dwar knows he needs to finish this battle by himself. It's a mess his little brother made. It's only fair as the eldest to clean it up. Ryu fully understands the king's sentiments and tells them to take care. Lord Dwar then points to the direction of an exit route at the left end of the hallway. The king promises to reach out once they've successfully dethroned Lord Dolph. With the true king's command, every single dwarf cheer out as they run towards the throne room. After they've left, Ryu also tells Ruri they'll head back to the inn for now. As they're walking down the hallway, Ruri hears something nearby. Her ears have picked up a sound of a crying animal. Could it be an animal they've kept for materials? Ruri's not sure either, but they'll have to stay alert just in case. The cry comes from around the corner of the hallway. Leading the way, Ryu prepares to meet the so-called monster. Both Ryu and Ruri are shocked to see a chick lying on the ground helplessly. Crouching to the ground, Ryu tries to touch the little bird, seeing that it looks very weak. However, before Ryu can lay a finger on it, the bird suddenly breathes out fire at them. Stepping back, Ryu and Ruri are astonished to see the little bird angrily chirping at them. This is no bird at all. This is a type of monster. The bird is still lashing out at Ryu. The beast tamer tries his best to call it down by saying they're not its enemy. Sometime later, the bird goes quiet and faints from exhaustion. Ryu finally has the bird in his hands, and judging by the looks of it, it's not injured at all. Ruri believes it's just hungry since there seems to be no signs of food inside the premises. Ryu tries rummaging inside his pockets but comes out empty. Everything he has was confiscated when they got captured earlier. Having no other choice, Ryu decides to take the bird with them, so they can feed it outside. They stop by at a restaurant and immediately give the bird a piece of meat. It sure can eat plenty for something so small. They're both glad to see the bird looking much more alive now. Ryu takes it in his hands, happy that it'll surely survive in the wild now. He then nudges the bird to go and be free. However, the bird only stares at Ryu before it coddles his hands. Seeing this, Ruri isn't happy to see the bird's gotten attached to Ryu now. Ruri then asks Ryu if he plans on making it his familiar as well, to which the beast tamer says no. He didn't save it for that. If the bird wants to live in the wild, Ryu's fine with that. If it wants to stay with Ryu, he'll gladly take it in. This doesn't bode well with Ruri, who's very jealous right now. She's sure the bird will make the choice of staying with Ryu. The idea has her sulking even more. Anyways, the duo decide to rest at the inn tonight and wait for King Dwar's message. If they don't hear from him tomorrow, Ryu plans on heading to the castle to help him. But for now, they'll recover their strength. The following day, Ryu wakes up from the feeling of getting squished, like something heavy is on his stomach. Groggily sitting up, Ryu suspects it's Ruri who might have slept walk last night. Without opening his eyes, Ryu asks Ruri to move away. But he's surprised to see that it's not Ruri. Instead, it's a giant bird. Ryu screams from the top of his lungs, waking Ruri up because he's confused of the animal on his stomach. Ruri calmly tells him that the bird is the chick from yesterday. Confused, Ryu looks at the bird again. If it's really the chick he saved, boy did it grow big so fast. Maybe it grew by feeding off Ryu's mana, is what Ruri suspects. There are monster species that grow by absorbing magic power. But it's also pretty rare for a monster to grow this fast. Ruri already has a hunch on what this bird is. Before she could say anything else, the inn's owner calls out for Ryu because soldiers are outside. This startles the bird and it goes flying outside the window. Both Ryu and Ruri can only stare at it as it flies away. A summon from the king is what the soldiers are there for. Ryu and Ruri immediately set off for the castle. The issue with Lord Dolph has been properly dealt with, and the king cannot thank Ryu enough. Before discussing Ryu's clothes and weapon, Lord Dwar calls out his little brother to come out from hiding. Apparently there's something Lord Dolph wants to say to Ryu. A remorseful Dolph slowly approaches Ryu and Ruri, bowing down as he apologizes for his misdeeds. It's a surprising scene because Lord Dolph's aura has completely changed. Ruri is still a bit angry at Lord Dolph for pretending to be king. The fake king explained how he was just jealous of his older brother since he's known to be the most skilled craftsman in the country. Because of that, everyone only gave jobs to him. Lord Dolph never got the chance to even touch materials. It was degrading as a fellow craftsman. So, Lord Dolph tricked his older brother, telling him about rare materials and locked him up in secret. Lord Dolph figured if he became king, he could command soldiers and secure materials. People would commission him work without finding out the truth of his identity. Everything was going according to plan, until Ryu showed up. When Lord Dolph saw the materials Ryu brought, he knew they were A-rank to S-rank quality stuff that's never seen on the market or at the guild. Lord Dolph thought Ryu was just an ordinary beast tamer that can easily be blinded with money. But then Ryu wasn't that kind of person at all and refused to sell. That made Lord Dolph think Ryu saw right through his facade. He got overwhelmed with anger and did the awful things he did. Lord Dolph once again bows down, apologizing to Ryu. The king also bows down to Ryu, apologizing for being partly to blame for his little brother's actions. If Lord Dwar had been considerate of Lord Dolph's feelings, none of this would have happened. Lord Dolph disapproves with the king's actions, quickly telling Lord Dwar he isn't at fault. The king then makes the suggestion of having Lord Dolph make Ryu's outfit. When Ryu asks him why, the king details how Lord Dolph is more skilled with his hands than him. Lord Dolph will and can make the best outfit possible for Ryu. And this is also part of Lord Dwar's atonement. He always knew his little brother was a talented craftsman, but because he felt responsible for the orders the king accepted, Lord Dwar never let his little brother touch any of the work. It's only now that Lord Dwar realizes how his actions had wounded Lord Dolph's pride. If her had just acknowledged him from the very start, if they had worked together, this wouldn't have happened. Vouching for his brother's skill, Lord Dwar asks Ryu to please let Lord Dolph make his outfit. Ryu happily agrees with Lord Dwar, earning thanks from the king and a sounding why from Lord Dolph. Smiling, Ryu tells Lord Dolph that he's being acknowledged by the best craftsman in the country. If Ryu can get a quality outfit from him, Ryu's got no complaints. Lord Dolph can't believe that Ryu would trust him after everything he did. The king sees this as a way to prove to Ryu how he's terribly sorry for his mistakes. Plus, it's always been Lord Dolph's dreams to be recognized as a true craftsman. Now is the best time to show his skills with his hands. Lord Dwar looks at his little brother with so much love and pride, telling him how he believes in Lord Dolph's skills. Extending his hand, Lord Dwar promises they'll work together this time around. Tears start spilling out of Lord Dolph's eyes while taking his older brother's hand with firmness. Lord Dolph promises to make Ryu the best outfit in the world. Case closed for the Dwarf brothers. Meanwhile, back at Ryu's hometown, his close friends have finally come home. Both Tia and Taiga are excited to go and see Ryu already. It's been ages since the three of them got together. Tia hopes their friend is doing okay too. However, they arrive at Ryu's home only to discover it destroyed. A villager arrives and Tia immediately asks where Ryu is. The villager doesn't get a chance to answer her quick because she bombards him with worried questions. Taiga asks her to calm down before asking the villager what had happened to Ryu's house. The villager then tells them that Ryu is missing and has been missing for over 2 months now. There was a loud noise on the night of a full moon, but when they came to see what was happening, they only found Ryu's home in disarray. No one knows why Ryu would just suddenly disappear. Tia knows their friend wouldn't just leave. He works hard every day, tending to horses and cows that liked him. The villager that tells Tia and Taiga they did find animal fur inside Ryu's home. At first they thought I was livestock fur, but now they think it might have been a monster that attacked Ryu. Determined, Tia turns to her horse so she could start looking for Ryu. A hero can't possibly just forget about her responsibilities, so she plans on looking for Ryu during their travels. Taiga wants to as well, but they really have no idea where to start. On her horse, Tia vows to find Ryu no matter what, and if he's dead, she's determined to punish those responsible. Tia's resolve might have reached Ryu because he just sneezed out of nowhere. Let's go back to Dwarf Country, shall we? Lord Dolph is working tirelessly to forge a weapon out of the Fenrir Fang, but no amount of hammering and eating can break through the Fang, deflating Ryu and Ruri's spirits along with the Dwarf brothers. Ryu is losing hope for the Fang. They've done hundreds of attempts and still no luck. Even Ryu tried cranking up the flame's temperature as high as it could go. Still nothing. They're all in a sticky situation right now. Taking out the Fang again, Lord Dolph suggests using flames from a magical beast that's equal to Fenrir's magic power. Maybe that'll work. The disconcerting thought is if such species existed. A light bulb clicks in Ruri's mind, asking if flames from a Garuda would possibly do the trick. While Ryu doesn't know what that monster is, the Dwarf brothers are surprised with Ruri's suggestion. A Garuda is a divine bird, scratch that, a legendary eagle said to possess dragon-slaying power? It's ancient legend, so it's not a shocker that Ryu hasn't heard of it. When Ryu asks her if she knows a Garuda, Ruri tells him that Ryu actually does too. Drumroll please, it's the chick Ryu saved from the dungeon. Quite a shocker for Ryu. Ruri then explains how the chick grew so much thanks to Ryu's magic power. No regular magical beast would grow that huge in a single night. Only high-ranking magical beasts with a vast reservoir of magic power can do that. So Ruri is pretty sure that chick is a Garuda. But the problem is, the Garuda escaped or fled. The brothers then get to thinking. Upon hearing Ryu's explanation of what happened, there's a high chance the Garuda is on the mountain behind the castle. So much time has passed that it's risky to search for it now. However, if it means they can forge the Fang, it's a gamble they'll have to take. Since the brothers can't leave the castle unattended, they ask Ryu and Ruri to search for it for the Garuda. Ryu obliges and sets off with Ruri. Their task proves to be a hard one at that. They're not even sure it's still here. Ryu is getting hopeless again. Even Ruri's thinking the same thing. She really thought it'll come flying towards Ryu's magic power. Yup, making Ryu the bait. They start searching other areas, walking these vast land. Suddenly, Ruri's ears pick up a cry from nearby. Lo and behold, it's the Garuda running from a monster trying to eat it. Ruri immediately notices that the Garuda is having a hard time flapping its wings. Suspecting it to be injured, Ryu quickly asks Ruri to save the Garuda. They finally save the Garuda and take it back to the castle. While it's sleeping soundly, Ryu and Ruri watch over it. It was surprisingly close by. Ryu really thought it had flown much farther away. A sad Ruri asks if it's possible that the Garuda doesn't have parents. It was all alone when they found it, so maybe it doesn't know where home is, or if home really exists. Lord Dwar arrives to ask Ryu on the Garuda's condition. Reporting to the king, Ryu tells him the Garuda is doing fine since it was barely a scratch. They just need to wait for the Garuda to wake up. Though Ryu isn't so sure if the Garuda will really help them. The Garuda stirs in its sleep, starting to finally wake up. As soon as it lays its eyes on the dwarves, it goes frantic and flies towards Ryu for safety. While the Garuda cuddles Ryu, the beast tamer is confused with its actions and tries to reassure that it's safe now. Ruri approaches them, straightforwardly asking Ryu on making the Garuda his familiar. Ruri voices out her worries on leaving the Garuda on its own again. It'll probably run into trouble if they do so. And since it has no one and obviously like Ryu, it may be the best decision to make it Ryu's familiar. Ryu looks at the Garuda. While it's true that they need its help, Ryu doesn't want to force it to stay with him. Opening a window, Ryu lets the Garuda make the final decision. He then asks the Garuda if it'll stay with us and lend them its strength. Ryu also tells it that it's not obligated to do so and is free to leave. Everyone watches in anticipation. Finally, the Garuda flaps its wings and flies towards Ryu's shoulder. Shocked, Ryu asks it once more if it's sure with its decision. The Garuda happily chirps its answer. Ruri is relieved with its decision too. Both Lord Dwar and Lord Dolph are astonished. A familiar contract with a Garuda? An opportunity like this is incredibly rare. Since it's a momentous occasion, the king suggests they hold the Nan ceremony in the town square where everyone can witness it. Everyone gathers in the town square, and by everyone I mean there's a huge crowd. Gorads, civilians, even Mark the Merchant is here. Lord Dwar apologizes for the huge crowd. This is supposed to be a ceremony on a short notice, but since it's not every day that the king steps out in public, then this kind of attention is understandable. When Ruri suggests they reschedule, Ryu tells her it's okay and they just need to get it done with. Raising his arm, Ryu tells the Garuda about the naming ceremony. By giving it a name, a familiar contract between them will be formed. Ryu wants the Garuda to think of it like becoming family. The Garuda joyfully chirps an agreement on becoming family too. Since there are no issues, Ryu proceeds with the ceremony. Lifting his hand, Ryu gives the Garuda its new name, Karen. A tornado-like energy then traps Ryu, Ruri, and Karen. Ryu is puzzled. This didn't happen with Ruri's naming ceremony. What in the world is happening now? Seeing a floating egg at the center, Ryu believes it to be Karen. Ruri then explains how she can feel it evolving. Evolution is a trait unique to magical beasts only. With this, magical beasts attain the form and power they truly desire. And Ruri believes Karen is evolving now because it genuinely wants to become a source of strength for the beast tamer. The egg starts cracking, and with that is the anticipation of Karen's new form. Both Ryu and Ruri have no idea what form it'll take, but for sure they'll happily welcome it. Extending both his arms, Ryu asks for Karen to come out. This has Karen finally emerging from its egg. Gone is the bird that Ryu had saved. In its stead is a beautiful winged girl. Opening her eyes, the first thing it sees is Ryu, who's asking Karen if she's alright. With twinkling eyes, Karen lovingly calls Ryu her papa. Papa wasn't in Ryu's bingo card at all. Karen happily explains how she managed to take the same form as Ryu, her papa, though it may have took a little while to achieve. Speechless, Ryu is still stunned that Karen really means him as papa. Well, he did say they were to be family. Guess this is it. Karen then tells Ryu how lonely she's felt ever since she was born. That's why she took the form of a human. A despondent Karen recalls her life. When she was born in this town, she had no mama or any friends. She kept on looking for her family, but whenever people found Karen, they'd shoo her away by calling her monster. She's been living on the run her whole entire life. This now explains why Karen fled when the soldiers came to the inn a few days back. Karen nods and further tells them that her life had changed when both her papa and her sister helped her. Smiling, Karen divulges how it was the first time someone had been kind to her. That's why she loves both Ryu and Ruri so much, wishing to become the same as them. Ryu then lovingly gives Karen a gentle pat on the head. Their mini-family introduction is interrupted when the dwarf brothers are calling Ryu from outside the fire tornado. Ryu immediately asks Karen to put out the flames around them, to which she gladly does so. The dwarf brothers rush towards Ryu, who tells them the naming ceremony went well. Lord Dolph was absolutely astounded by what he witnessed, though he did call it incredibly dangerous as well. Their king then notices Karen and asks who she is. Ryu quickly introduces her to the brothers as the Garuda, but in human form. Both brothers are amazed that something like this is possible. Well, what can they expect from a divine bird, right? Now, Ryu worries this might cause an issue in forging the sword. The king reassures him that everything will be fine as long as Karen can handle the flames. Before heading back to the workshop, the king orders his soldiers to explain the situation to the townspeople as not to worry Ryu. As they head back to the castle, Mark the merchant picks up one of Karen's feathers. An all-knowing smile forms on his face as he calls Ryu different from other humans. Whether this dude is a friend or a foe remains to be seen. A month later, Lord Dolph presents Ryu his new leather armor, his finest masterpiece to date. Ryu is instantly floored with how amazing it is, calling it a magnificent and fine-crafted armor. Lord Dolph can't take all the credit. Ryu did provide him with excellent materials. Lord Dolph then further tells the beast tamer that his new armor also comes with a heat fluctuation nullification effect. This means that fire and ice attacks are useless against the armor. Lord Dolph made this possible by weaving in Karen's molten feathers on the armor. Garuda feathers actually possess both heat resistance and heat absorption properties. The armor also offers protection against both heat and cold, making it even more useful for Ryu. Lord Dwar then arrives to announce that the sword is now ready. They've finally managed to forge a sword from the Fenrir's fang. Ryu takes notice on the unusual blade design. Lord Dwar calls this a special type of sword known as a wakizashi. With its single-edged design, it significantly improves its cutting power. The king managed to learn forging such sword from the eastern land. Ryu also thanks Karen for doing her best. If not for her, they wouldn't be able to forge the fang at all. The king then asks Ryu to do the honors of giving the wakizashi a name. Normally, the blacksmith would be the one to bestow the name. But since this sword was forged exclusively for Ryu, Lord Dwar believes it is only right for the beast tamer to name it. Ryu has a hard time thinking of a name. He's being asked so suddenly that his mind is out of ideas. The elder then comes to Ryu's mind, sparking a name for the sword. Ryu then decides to call his new sword Wolf. Straightforward as ever, Ruri comments. Since the name has been decided, the king asks Ryu to give it a test cut. It'll be best to do so before using it in actual combat. Everyone heads out to the town square again for the test cut. A crowd forms around them again, expecting to see something amazing from Ryu once more. Eyeing the crowd, the king reckons an overplay of the last naming ceremony spread across the town and well, hence the crowd. The king apologizes to Ryu for holding this at the town square. If they did it and something were to happen at the castle, it would cause an uproar. There's nothing to be worried about though. The king already has soldiers stationed to keep the citizens at a safe distance. That's all Ryu needs to hear. After all, injuring civilians isn't part of today's agenda. Lord Dolph then makes the announcement introducing the new sword forged by the king himself and unveils it with its name. The king then gives his instructions on what Ryu needs to do. Drawing Wolf, Ryu needs to unleash his magic power into the sky with everything's got. That way, the true extent of the sword's power will be revealed. Everyone leaves Ryu at the center of the vicinity. Ryu still worries about affecting his surroundings. To minimize any potential damage, Ryu plans to focus his magic power on a single point as much as possible. Lifting the sword towards the sky, Ryu strikes a singular attack. The sky seemingly explodes with so much intensity and force, leaving everyone utterly shocked and mind-blown. The crowd cheers in excitement, incredibly amazed with what they just witnessed. Karen is very proud of her papa slicing the sky too. The king already expected much. I mean, he did forge it from the elder Fenrir's fang. Its magic power conductivity is in a completely different league from other materials. No further adjustments are necessary. Their little chit-chat pauses when a citizen screams to look at the sky. Looking up, Ryu is yet again surprised. He can't believe he's seeing a dragon right now. And it looks like there are people aboard it. The dragon soars the vast sky, circling the town square. Ryu and the others are taken aback when the people riding the dragon jump and land in front of them. The four people headed by an old man greets Ryu, leaving the beast tamer confused AF. These strangers' arrival only makes sense when Ruri enthusiastically calls the old man grandfather. Yep, that's the elder all right. So the others accompanying him are Ruri's mom and dad, of course. Ruri's grandma, who looks pretty young for her age too. Lord Dwar approaches his longtime friend, asking the elder on his well-being. The two exchange pleasantries before the elder tells them the reason why they're here. The Fenrir pack has a small favor to ask Ryu and his familiars. Spotting Karen, the elder is also curious with the Garuda's identity, but they have more pressing matters to discuss for now. The elder then tells Ryu about a troublesome beast that's about to reawaken. Its name is Evil Dragon, the sorceress Evil Dragon. This beast has 3 serpentine heads and a colossal chalk-white body. Not only can it wield magic, but it also has knowledge of all forms of magic, ancient to modern and eastern to western. Long ago, the elder along with other representatives from other species tried to subjugate the dragon, but because it spawns itself from its very own wounded flesh and blood, they had no choice but to seal it away instead. Hearing this, Ryu dreads the dragon's existence. Having received word about the collapsing seal, the Fenrir bloodline have come forth to prepare for battle. With this, the elder asks Ryu and his familiars to join them in this battle. Since they're facing a formidable foe, they'll need all the help they can get. But Ryu is worried he's not fit enough to fight this dragon. After all this time, Ryu still doubts his fighting prowess. Barking out a laugh, the elder dismisses such ridiculous thoughts. Ryu has trained with the Fenrir pack. No doubt he can fight well enough. In fact, he's even better than most out there. The Elder asks the Beast Tamer to have more confidence with himself, especially that the Elder thinks so highly of Ryu. The Beast Tamer reluctantly agrees. Ruri happily confirms her participation as well. When asked where this dragon is, the Elder tells Ryu it's in the Dragon Kingdom. To be precise, it's sealed in a cave near the Dragon Kingdom. The Fenrir pack will join forces with the Dragon Kingdom's people called Dragonkin. With no more time to lose, the Elder tells them they'll discuss the other details later. For now, they must go to the Dragon Kingdom at once. Just as Ryu is about to ask on their transportation means, the dragon from earlier starts talking. It comments on how weird it is to see a Fenrir converse with a human. It's uncommon and unheard of in their world. The dragon then asks Ryu if he's the Fenrir's disciple. In a state of shock, Ryu just completely stares at the beast, remarking how huge the dragon is. The Elder then butts in, apologizing for the late introductions. This dragon is the Elder's sworn brother, the Earth Staff Dragon. The beast smiles at Ryu, giving its pleasantries to the Beast Tamer. Ryu can't seem to form sentences right now, still in awe with the dragon's presence. It shouldn't be a shocker that a legendary monster like Fenrir are friends with other legendary species at all. Plus, this dragon can speak human language as well. Ryu is taken back to reality when he hears the townspeople gossiping about the dragon's arrival. He then tells the Elder they must leave now since they're creating a bit of a commotion now. After clarifying their mode of transportation, they all board the dragon's back. Both Lord Dwar and Lord Dolph wave their goodbyes as the dragon flies to the sky once more. While traveling, they get into a quick recap on what's going on. The Elder then gets his answer about Karen's origins and becoming Ryu's familiar. The Fenrir Elder is pretty much ecstatic with the news. Ryu has not only managed to snag a Fenrir for a familiar but also a Garuda. By this time, his magic power would have been depleted already, rendering Ryu dead. Ryu is unimpressed with the Elder's reaction. You know who else isn't impressed? Ruri's dad. He is seething mad at Ryu right now. Stealing away his daughter from him, then cheating on her with a Garuda? The nerve, Ryu. Ruri's dad wants to punish the Beast Tamer right here and now, though his plans don't really go as planned when his wife smacks him right on the head. Ruri's mom doesn't seem to have a problem with Karen. I mean, look at these three. It's really obvious the Garuda has taken a liking to both Ryu and Ruri. Hearing this, Ryu notes that they've spent almost a month together. It's only natural for them to bond. If anything, Ruri has been the one clinging to Karen all this time. Whether it was meal or bath times, Ruri always doted on Karen, like a mother hen to her baby chick. Perhaps like an older sister to her baby sister too. Still, the Elder asks Karen if she doesn't get lonely without having parents around. Embracing Ruri's arm as if for protection, Karen tells the Elder she doesn't feel lonely at all. Not when she has her Papa Ryu and Big Sis Ruri who are very kind to her. Even thought she's a mythical Garuda, Karen is still a child. With that, the Elder knows it's always better for her to have more people to rely on. Besides, if Karen thinks of Ruri as a big sister, then Karen is practically a daughter to the Fenrir pack as well. With smiles on their faces, the Fenrir family asks Karen to think of them as her family as well. Though it may be awkward at first, but still, it'll be nice to have a big family to rely on. Although shocked at first, Karen's heart warms with the Elder's request. Teary-eyed, the Garuda gives a sincere okay to them. After some time, the dragon announces their arrival at Dragon Kingdom. Ryu then takes a peek and sees the amazing land covered with buildings and houses. The dragon then shares to the amazed Ryu that the castle and the entire castle town he's seeing right now is the Dragon King's territory. Because of its small size, the Dragon Kingdom isn't really the dragon's favorite place though. Dragonkin are half human, so the buildings and other stuff are made to human size. So, a regular dragon like the Earth Staff Dragon needs to be in human form to fit in these buildings. Although dragons and Dragonkin get along well, the needed transformation is quite the hassle. At long last, they arrive at the castle entrance. The dragon then transforms into his human form, catching Ryu off guard. Even in its human form, the dragon is still huge and tall. In human form, the Earth Staff Dragon is referred to as Lord Midgardsormr. He is immediately greeted by the castle guards. Lord Midgardsormr then introduces his sworn brother and the Fenrir family to the guards, who are happy to see legendary magical beasts that will aid them in defeating the evil dragon. The other guard notices Ryu as the only human present. Lord Midgardsormr clears the air by telling the guard that Ryu is actually the Fenrir's disciple. The guards seem baffled. A human as a disciple? Unheard of. They're quite hesitant with Ryu's involvement in battle. How can a human like him be of any use in battle with the evil dragon? Ruri's dad is furious once more. This dude really has a bad temper. He's offended with the guard's statement. Are they saying the Fenrir pack trained someone weak? The guard immediately tries to clarify his words, but Ruri's dad is already pissed AF and wants Ryu to show these guards his true strength. That way, no one will ever doubt Ryu's power. An angry dad pointedly asks for the guards to get their superior, asking for a duel between the superior and Ryu. Well, Ryu looks like he's stuck in a situation that's unwanted for. The superior soon arrives and the two get in position for battle. Ryu still can't believe it's come to this, but I guess he has no other choice. Especially that Ruri's dad is screaming at him to win or else he's gonna wipe Ryu out. Serving as the judge, Lord Midgardsormr tells both participants that the match is only decided if one of them faints or gives up. The superior is no ordinary foe. He's actually the military commander of the Dragon Kingdom. Just because Ryu looks like an ordinary human to him, the commander won't be holding back. As soon as the commander gets into a fighting stance, Lord Midgardsormr gives the go signal for battle. The commander quickly dashes towards Ryu, who had only a split second to up his defenses. Each of the commander's blows are heavy and he's very quick on his feet as well. Ryu is having a hard time in both his offenses and defenses. As the commander tries to land another strike with his sword, he starts mocking Ryu, telling him that weak defenses aren't even enough to face the evil dragon. The military commander of the Dragon Kingdom sure is a skilled swordsman, and it shows with the way he battles. Ryu knows he can't knock him out, so he plans on having the commander raise his white flag instead. Ryu honestly knows he doesn't stand a chance in terms of sword skill, but he may have a fighting chance if he imbues his blade with magic power, and if he somehow manages to land a hit, the commander should falter. This plan could create an opening for Ryu to subdue the commander. He can't go all out though. We've seen what this blade can do. Keeping it to a minimum, Ryu gives it his all and tries to score a hit on the commander. Both their blades clash, but Ryu's blade, which has been imbued with magic power, catapults the commander to the wall. KO. No need to have the commander give up because he is sleeping like a baby after that attack. Everyone including Ryu are shocked with what just happened. Ryu is still not used to handling Wolf at all. Even when he said he'll keep it to a minimum, Ryu clearly misjudged the power output. Lord Misguardstormer raises his hand, signaling the end of the battle and announcing Ryu as the winner. The guards immediately tend to their injured captain while the Fenrir family cheer Ryu their congratulations. However, Ryu can't seem to be happy with the battle. He's worried about the commander's state. Lord Misguardstormer reassures the beast tamer that he'll be alright, as it was a battle by mutual consent. This gives Ryu relief. He didn't really want the Dragon King to have a bad first impression on him. Approaching Ryu, the elder acknowledges Ryu's improvement when it comes to handling his magic power, though he did overdo it earlier. Still, he's doing great with practice. After that little fiasco, Lord Misguardstormer opens the castle gates and welcomes everyone to the Dragon Kingdom. As they are walking, a shadow of a lady lurks in one of the buildings. She quickly notes the arrival of Ryu and how interesting he seems to be. Smirking, she looks forward to meeting and speaking with such individual. Uh-oh, let's hope she ain't trouble. While that lady stays in the background for a bit, let's go back to Ryu and the others who are enjoying strolling the area. It's really a thriving place. Lord Midgardstormer explains that this is actually the dragon's main stronghold, which makes it as every bit of impressive as any human kingdom. Both Ryu and Ruri then notice that Karen has stopped walking and is eyeing something in a nearby shop. When she's asked what's wrong, Karen immediately tells them nothing is wrong. It's too late to deny it when they already saw Karen eyeing some pretty cute hair clips at the shop. Hearing their conversation, Lord Midgardstormer informs them that they can come back later to shop since they'll have plenty of time before the war begins. The two girls are elated to hear Ryu agree with Lord Midgardstormer, telling them they'll all come shopping together later. But of course, first order of business, meeting the Dragon Lord in the castle. The castle is bussin' with busy citizens. It's not just Draco Newts, but so many different races are present. As they walk past these people, Lord Midgardstormer explains how the Dragon Kingdom is not only a nation of dragons who can take human form, but also a kingdom of evolution. Draco Newts are part human, and there are some who are half-breeds from humans who transformed, and then they transformed as well. Some also evolved from lizard folk to become Draco Newts, hence why they have so many different forms. As they head down the corridors, Ryu asks about the Dragon Lord and his persona. Lord Midgardstormer then answers him that the Dragon Lord is special evolved type amongst the dragons. He's supremely strong since the Elder likes the Dragon Lord's power on par with his. They finally arrive at the throne room where both the Dragon Lord and Queen await them. Taking in the ambiance, Ryu can really feel the difference when it comes to royalty, just like the lords in Fallcrown. Lord Midgardstormer immediately introduces the guests to the Dragon Lord and Queen, who weren't expecting him to bring such warriors of high caliber. The Queen then turns her eyes to Ryu, asking if he really defeated their commander early. Giggling, she then tells Ryu she's never seen or heard of a human of such strength, aside from a hero. Ryu's tensed body instantly relaxes as he hears the Queen's laughter. The Dragon Lord then divulges his plans on having a strategy meeting with the Fenrir pack. Aside from that, the Queen will assign an attendant to them, telling them they can happily rest and wait in their guest rooms. Before leaving, the Elder is curious about the strategy meeting. Why would they be having one when he's not seeing any other race in this room aside from them? The Dragon Lord's face grows anxious. Silence echoes throughout the room. From this, Ryu is able to piece the puzzle together and realizes they're the only ones fighting the evil dragon. Sighing, the Dragon Lord confirms this. Last time, they had the cooperation of the previous hero and various other races. But this time, with the possibility of the new generation's hero arriving, the races that helped them before have now declined. Everyone grows worried. They'll have less reinforcement than before. Will they really outsmart this evil dragon? Realizing the mention of the new generation's hero, Ryu quickly remembers his friend Tia. He then asks the dragons if they've asked help from her, thinking this is exactly when she should be stepping up. It is then revealed by Lord Midgardstormer that Tia, the current hero, has different views about monsters. She's treating all forms and mention of monsters with hostility. Whether they're half-breed or can understand and speak the human language, they're likely to be attacked by Tia. The dragons have come to realize they can't rely on her. Ryu's mind goes blank. He can't seem to process the idea of his best friend attacking monsters indiscriminately. The Elder gives his understanding towards the situation. They're already here, and they're still very much willing to help despite the lack of manpower. The Dragon Lord then bows his head to give his apologies towards the Fenrir pack. Ryu now recalls a time before Tia and Taiga officially started their adventures. Taiga had mentioned something about Tia acting strange. He just felt like something was off with Tia. Taiga then shared about a quest to deal with some monsters. Tia had this look. She's always had this frightening look towards monsters, like she abhors them. Back then, Ryu didn't think much of it, especially that Tia was never a scary person. Even when they were children and she got mad, Tia never looked or felt scary. Taiga then confessed how it's difficult for him to ask Tia directly. When he asks Ryu if he knew anything, the beast tamer could only scratch the back of his head while saying no. Giving it some thought, Ryu thinks it's just Tia's sense PF justice getting stronger since she's aiming to be a hero. If that's all it is to it, then great. But what if there's more to it than meets the eye? What could have happened to make Tia hate monsters that much? Speaking of, the hero party has just left Fallcrown, stressing about the outrageous demand Lord Dwar had asked of them. Taiga is obviously distraught to be asked for a Fenrir's Fang and Garuda's Flame just to make a sword. Sounds familiar? Lord Dwar had listed the materials he'll need in order for him to make a legendary class weapon on par with his recent and finest work. Sighing, Taiga can't believe they wasted their time coming all this way because they heard the King of Falkrown was a master craftsman. Gran, the knight, butts in and comments that it did made sense. They're asking for a legendary class sword, so it's only fair for the materials to be legendary as well. Tia then tells them they don't need Lord Dwar to make the sword, which kinda defeats the purpose of their travel. Maria, the party's cleric, reminds them that Tia is the hero, and she fights on the front lines in the most dangerous places. It's only fair if she needs the best weapon she can get. Taiga proposes they head to the guild for now. They might be able to find someone who has information on how to get the materials they need. As soon as they arrive, people give them odd looks. Gran can sense the hostility coming from the townfolks. The people just clam up and scurry off the moment they mention Fenrir and Garuda. Tia now wonders if something happened in this country involving the mentioned legendary beasts. Suddenly, a hooded person approaches them and asks if they want to hear whispers about Fenrir and Garuda. The information broker then asks Tia as to why she wants to know about the mentioned beasts. It's not like she wants to, more like she needs to because Lord Dwar told them to bring Fenrir's Fang and Garuda's Flame in order for him to forge her a weapon. When Gran presses the information broker to spill the beans, the hooded man then tells them about what happened a month ago. A man had appeared accompanied by a Fenrir and Garuda. He was able to restore peace between Lord Dwar and his younger brother Lord Dolph. In short, he is something of a hero to this country. It is rumored that Tia, the hero, despises monsters, and because the man's familiars are Fenrir and Garuda, both legendary beasts, the townfolks fear that Tia would go off and kill them. Furthermore, if information leaked and those legendary beasts sought revenge, it could ruin Falkrown all at once. This is why everyone doesn't want to speak to the hero's party. Taiga then notices Tia going awfully quiet. With her back turned towards them, Tia bleeds in anger as she vows to kill all the monsters. She can't allow monsters possessing such terrifying power to roam free. With this, she thanks the information broker for what they just learned and hurries to leave. Yikes. As soon as she walks away, Tia promises to eradicate every last terrifying monster there is, and once that's done, she's going to find Ryu. Meanwhile, back at the Dragon Kingdom, Ryu, Ruri, and Karen are all sitting waiting for the Dragon Lord and the Elders to finish with their strategy meeting. Ryu is already bored, but it's not like he can just wander off. Ruri then gives an amazing idea of touring around the castle. Both Ryu and Karen light up with her suggestion. Before they leave though, Ryu goes outside to tell someone and get permission. Luckily enough, a lady dressed as an attendant was already waiting outside their room. Ryu is visibly surprised by her presence, immediately thinking this is the attendant assigned by the Dragon Queen. The lady then asks Ryu if they're planning on going out, to which the beast tamer confirms. This catches the lady's attention, but soon tells them she'll guide them around the castle. As they walk, Ryu thinks about the lady. Not in that way. He just never sensed the lady at all, that's why he was visibly surprised moments ago. Anyways, the tour is beyond their expectations. They already know they're in a castle. But wowza, it is an opulent one at that. Look at this splendid dining hall. And there's a huge library with a showcase of books from all genres and times. The Dragon Kingdom also has training grounds for everyone to use. And of course, the creme of the crop, the kingdom's pride, the central courtyard. Such an immaculate display of royalty, even Ryu, Ruri, and Karen are amazed. They all give their compliments with everything they've seen. The attendant is also pleased with their kind words and will make sure it reaches the Dragon Queen and the Dragon Princess. She'll be thrilled to hear such wonderful compliments. At the mention of princess, Ryu's ears perk up. He never knew there was a princess here. The attendant does tell him it's vital for the future of the kingdom, which makes sense. Scratching the back of his head, Ryu then asks a question he's been meaning to ask the attendant all throughout their tour. Pointing towards the person hiding behind a nearby pilaster, Ryu asks the attendant who is it that's been following them. Now that the cat's out of the bag, might as well show herself. The little girl proudly makes herself known, even having her hands on her waist. Ryu didn't expect to see a child. He then asks her if she needed something from him. Taken aback, the girl starts fidgeting as she doesn't know what to tell Ryu. Spotting Ryu's sword, she quickly points out to it and commands Ryu to hand it over. Without any slight hesitation, Ryu immediately tells the little girl he won't. And everything goes quiet. Did he just say no to this little girl? Mouth agape, the little girl asks him why not. Ryu then explains to her that the sword is important to him. Pulse, he wouldn't just hand it out to a kid. That's very dangerous. This infuriates the little girl, who instantly has a temper tantrum. The attendant then approaches Ryu, apologizing in behalf of the girl. She then leaves for a moment so she could call for the little girl's guardian. Ryu tries reassuring the girl that her parents are on their way. Karen also approaches the little girl, asking if she's lost. Karen is also happy to stay with the little girl for the time being. The girl clenches her teeth and her fists are now shaking from seething anger. She quickly jumps towards Ryu's sword, screaming of her plans of taking it by force. Good thing Ryu is quick on his feet and is able to dodge the girl's attempts. Ryu is now stressed with this little girl's antics. She even explains that she's only doing it because Ryu won't give her his sword. Emphasis on his sword. The little tries snatching the sword again, but to no avail. She's pretty quick for a kid, but Ryu is just quicker. Plus, this girl's moves are quite simple, so Ryu can easily dodge her. Now the little girl screams at Ryu to give her the sword. When Ryu asks for Ruri and Karen's help, the two girls only tell him he can dodge the little girl just fine. Karen also wants to play tag with her papa later. Well, you're not expecting help from these two, Ryu. The little girl's body starts shaking. She's definitely mad now. How dare this human defy her? The girl's fingernails turn into sharp-like claws. Reminds me of Wolverine. Huh. She then points out it's Ryu's fault for not doing what she says, and that the beast tamer will regret underestimating her in the first place. The little girl lunges at Ryu, claws first. Before she could reach him, Ryu manages to dodge her once more. This earns the girl a solid thud on the pilaster. Worried, Ryu quickly asks if the girl's okay. Wincing from the pain, the girl starts bawling her eyes out. That really did a number on her. Throwing yet another tantrum, the girl now questions her capabilities. Why can't she whine despite her magic power and powerful bloodline? A frantic Ryu tells her they'll call a doctor ASAP. With impeccable timing, the attendant arrives with the Dragon Queen. Confused, Ryu asks the attendant for the whereabouts of the little girl's guardian. Before the attendant could answer Ryu, the Dragon Queen steps forward and bows down as she apologizes for her troublesome daughter. Ryu just felt his soul fly away to outer space. The Dragon Queen apologetically confirms the little girl to be her daughter. Not only that, but she's also the grandchild of the supposed attendant. Shocking, isn't it? Ryu needs to close his mouth or else a horde of mosquitoes are coming right in. Being the child's grandmother means that the lady is totally fine to be the little girl's guardian. But Grandma doesn't want to claim such an ill-mannered grandchild. Ryu's head begins spinning from this confusing royal dragon family tree. Yes, Ryu. The person you thought was your attendant is actually the Empress Dowager, and the little girl is the Dragon Queen's daughter, which makes this spoiled brat the Dragon Princess of this kingdom. What a plot twist this has been for a simple castle tour. That is the end of the recap at Chapter 8. Please read the pinned comment about the next part.
Quickly and swiftly,